Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all on behalf of Times of India, Education Times, and HP for a session on transformation of learning, rise of hybrid model, and the ways to look forward to. The pandemic has brought about several dramatic changes in our lives, and this will be regarded as a watershed moment for the education sector. Until March 2019, digital learning was at a nascent stage in India, which changed overnight. After about 2 years, now we are at the cusp of normalcy and the schools are reopening, the students are going back to the classroom, and we are now looking at new and innovative models that will dominate as we move forward. I'm honored to hold a session which consists of panelists from all walks of life. Um, they have varied views on the current situation and some new suggestions, some new methods to look forward to. I also request the participants to send in their questions, which we will be addressing very soon. Before that, please welcome me in joining the guest for the session. We have with us Major Harsh Kumar, Secretary in NCERT. Major Kumar previously worked as Joint Secretary, Allahabad University, Prayagraj, and has held some important positions in corporate sectors and the Indian Army. Major Harsh Kumar was born in Prayagraj district and has completed studies from Allahabad University and has served Indian Army for a decade after completing the graduation from Allahabad University. He participated in counter-insurgency at Jammu and Kashmir in Operation Vijay and Operation Parakram. In the field of education administration, he was selected for the post of Joint Secretary at his alma mater, Allahabad University, and he has been pioneer in implementing and reforming the State Education Policy 2020. Major Harsh Kumar has also been conferred with Gaurav Award by the Education Ministry of India. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Ketan Patel, Managing Director, HP India Market. He has been Managing Director and is looking after the huge market consisting of India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. As the head of India Market, Ketan is leading HP's all business, including computing, printing, and associated services. Prior to this, Ketan was based in Singapore as the Vice President and Head Personal Systems category. He was responsible for Greater Asia's computing business, including hardware, services, and solution. Ketan also led HP's commercial PC business between 2017 and 2019 for HP's Asia Pacific, Japan, APJ region. We are honored to have Prashant Jain, Chief Marketing Officer, HP India. Mr. Jain is the Chief Marketing Officer for India as well as Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. And he leads marketing across consumers, commercial, and service businesses. He has an experience of over 16 years in category of management, e-commerce, brand management, innovation management, and business development across emerging and developing markets. We have with us Ms. Pooja Thakur, Principal, the Sri Ram School, New Delhi. She has been the principal of junior campus at the Sri Ram School. She started her career as a special educator at AADI, Action of Ability Development Inclusion, formerly known as Spastic Society of Northern India. She's been with Sri Ram School for last 20 years and is working closely in implementation of inclusive education program. She's been holding workshops on parenting, mental health, visual thinking, high order thinking skills, the art of questioning, to name a few. We also have with us Ms. Kiran Mandral. She's a mother, author, and mom influencer. She's a writer, noted social media influencer, and research and media consultant. After quitting her full-time job as a journalist after her son was born, Kiran has been a mommy blogger and she has an original voice. Excuse me. She was shortlisted for the Femina Women Awards for literary contribution in 2017. She was awarded by Indian Council of UN Relations ICUNR by the Ministry of Women and Children in 2018 for excellence in the field of writing. So without further ado, I think we should just begin with the questions. I welcome all the guests, panelists, and the audience who are with us. I think the first question I would like to give to Mr. Harsh Kumar, because he has a knowledge about the way the expansion of digital learning and the learning as such has taken place over the last couple of years, particularly in the last 2 years. I'd want to know from him, with the growth of digitization in the past 2 years, does he think that it has helped the Indian students to acknowledge and take advantage of digital learning models such as e-books, video lectures, MOOCs, etc.? Major Harsh Kumar, if you could answer that.
Ma'am, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think we have a presentation from Prashant and Ketan first, and then we start going to panel discussion.
Okay.
So if you could introduce Ketan, who will take over for your presentation for about 10 minutes. Ketan and Prashant will do their presentation, and then we go into the panel discussion.
All right. Okay. So we have a small presentation by Mr. Ketan Patel and Mr. Prashant Jain, who would give us information about how the online learning has transformed over the last 22 months and how the students have been benefited with the use of laptops and the technical advancement that has taken place in the last few years. Over to you, Mr. Ketan.
Thank you, Priyanka, and good morning, everyone. I hope I'm clearly audible. If you can just nod, it'll be great. All right, thank you. Welcome to the esteemed panelists who have taken their precious time to share insights on a very important subject, which is very dear to the audience who are on the webinar today. And thank you once again, everyone who have joined the webinar to have interaction. I'm sure this is going to be a great session and a valuable investment of your time. As Priyanka just introduced, right, last 2 years can be described in many ways. We will all have probably our own experiences to share, but one thing is very common. It is disruptive, it is challenging to say the least. And however, all of us face different challenges. It is the power of human spirit who found various ways to survive and thrive in the area of work, whatever they are in, or how they manage their individual lives. And pandemic impacted almost all of us in many areas, and the most disrupted area is education, the topic which we are going to discuss today. And with the movement to virtual learning, it really challenged educators, teachers, parents, our government, and above all our dear students, kids, and youth of the country, which are future of any economy. At that point in time, online, digital, virtual, whichever word you want to use, was the only recourse or remedy to ensure uninterrupted education. It is also helping in today's time as the country is battling the wave 3 of the pandemic. And eventually, it almost took the place of traditional classroom. And I'm sure all of you will agree that that's not the best thing. Everybody wants to go back to schools, and students, parents, teachers, everyone want kids back to school. But during this last 2 years, young kids had to transition to a completely new environment. They were adversely impacted from psychological standpoint, and similarly, educators and teachers were challenged on how they can deliver uninterrupted learning with impactful outcomes and ensure progress of the students. While parents were struggling managing their own lives, working from home, and managing kids too, helping them cope up with this change. It was a massive challenge, especially for the parents having young kids, and they had to really manage their own work while managing the kids' education sitting at home. As a technology company, our vision at HP is to make a world where innovation drives extraordinary contributions to humanity. And that is a core to what we are as a company. We don't want innovation for the sake of innovation, but innovation which can really drive meaningful contributions. And then our mission is to create technology that inspires ambitious and meaningful progress. And in order to contribute to this meaningful progress promise, what we have in the field of education, it was necessary for us to understand what does the future of learning would look like, right? As a tech company, it was important for us to get this because there is a traditional classroom learning method which is absolutely critical for the betterment of learning outcomes. But in the last 2 years, we have seen advantages of digital learning. And is there a future of learning model which could really blend both of this very well, taking the maximum advantage of both these learning models? And how would the future of learning look like? So we took this opportunity to study the perceptions about various learning model challenges and expectations across the group of students, parents, teachers, across the entire length and breadth of our country, across metro, non-metro, and smaller towns. And in fact, we paid immense attention to the learning experience and how could we make it more effective for future learning. And this gave rise to the HP India's Future of Learning study, which I will take you through now. And this study has been is a very comprehensive one. You can always refer the details of it on our portal. But what I will do today is pick up three main areas which we found very interesting throughout this entire learning. So if you can go to the next slide, please. At first, we examined the benefits of online classes. As the world moved to online classes, how did it really benefit in the last 2 years? While almost all student respondents said that online classes not only ensured learning continuity, it also provided them flexibility to revisit their sessions at the convenient time. And that flexibility really helped them to do self-learning at their own self-pace. For teachers, online classes provided better work-life balance, and they said that the time which they saved in commuting could be utilized for extra classes or doubt sharing sessions for the kids and making it impactful for them. And majority of the parents group found that the kids were able to manage their time better and they were able to use the online learning to their advantage in that sense. If you can move to the next slide, while the online learning has its sets of benefits and all of us have experienced benefits, there is also a very strong desire, as I said earlier, to resume the classroom learning because there is no substitute to that. And after almost 2 years of online classes, most of the students in our survey are very keen to go back to the schools. They want to meet their friends, participate in sports, other co-curricular activities. And of course, there is a greater learning outcomes when you are really working very closely with the teacher. Parents also want their kid to go to the school as they believe that it helps in their overall development and better learnings. And that's what every parent is expecting. And when we spoke to the teacher group about the challenges of online classes, they said that maintaining discipline in online classes is a big challenge. I'm sure a lot of teachers are there today. They would agree, especially with young kids. This has been a big issue. And also an overwhelming number of teachers said that they need better technology tools and training for smoother online classes or digital learning, whichever word you use. So there are great benefits of online learning, which we saw in the previous slide, and challenges associated with it in terms of how each of the groups perceived what they are really looking at, especially going back to school. And if you can move to the next slide, while we examined the benefits and challenges of both the learning models, we wanted to know what each of the group have the preference for the future, because eventually we now have been better learned and informed in terms of what are the advantages of both models, and is there a model where you can find which can really help blend both the worlds and get better outcomes. And here we found that the most respondents across students, teachers, and parents said that they would like online to continue in some form even after school reopens. A big thumbs up to a mix of online and off classroom learning, as the hybrid model benefits overall learning outcomes. And we found our respondents preferred hybrid model as it offers a very good balance, and we can say it gives the best of both worlds. The student group said that the time saved through the hybrid model will allow them to pursue their hobbies and use that time. If people want to invest into other education areas, they can really pursue that. And while teachers love the hybrid model, as they claim it helps the physically well-being of kids along with the learning in specific times. And parents prefer hybrid as it ensured learning continuity during disruptions. And one is pandemic, but there are other disruptions like harsh weather conditions or law and order situation or any such things which happens, and schools are the first impacted ones, and that really disrupts the continuity of learning, and that's where there is a potential of hybrid learning, which all of them believe, and they feel that having digital learning will be better for the kids for overall development. So these are some great insights coming from key stakeholders, and I'm sure today we will hear perspectives from our esteemed panelists later in some of these areas and hear their views too about each of these findings. And before we go to the panel discussion, I would like to hand over to my colleague Prashant to share what are we doing in the area of reinventing the classroom of the future and share some of our thoughts, and then we open it up for the panel. Prashant, over to you.
Thank you, Ketan, and hi everyone. At HP, we've been working on reinventing the classroom to deliver better outcomes long before the pandemic actually began. So I'll spend 5 minutes to talk about the solutions that we've been testing globally, and they are now available in India. These are well placed to meet the needs of hybrid learning, as Ketan spoke about that a few minutes back. So next slide, please. We use Bloom's taxonomy for technology-enabled learning. This was first proposed in 1964 and then subsequently revised in 2001. There are 6 levels of cognitive learning according to this version, moving from remembering and understanding to applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Each level is, as you see, conceptually different. As students engage with these higher level skills, which are more active versus the passive skills of remembering and understanding, these higher level skills are extremely critical to success in the new world. And the technology used in teaching and learning, therefore, also needs to keep up with these active higher level skills. So, from digital assignments and passive consumption, say through tablets, they need to move to simulations, modeling, design thinking via computing and software resources to actively engage higher orders of thinking and skill development. If you can go to the next slide. So, this understanding has really resulted in the Reinvent the Classroom initiative. Can we move on to the next slide, please? This initiative really focuses on meaningful outcomes around future skill development, engagement, and innovation adoption. The education transformation net framework can really fast track a school's journey towards an effective and modern teaching and learning system. So, this includes readiness assessment, which serves as a justification for the reinvention, aligning the design of learning spaces, preparing a technology blueprint which is in line with the vision of the leadership, and supported by professional development of teaching staff to really deliver meaningful outcomes. So HP provides end-to-end project management for all these steps. This adoption can benefit all stakeholders, including parents who get a dashboard to see the impact of innovative teaching and learning practices on the child's academic progress. If we go to the next slide, let me talk about 2 solutions which will particularly be useful as learners come back to school and start hybrid learning. To the next slide. So HP Class Easy is an AI-first gamified learning management system. If you can go to the next slide. In a world where we are switching between offline and online, every other month due to external factors, this technology can make this switch truly seamless. So the Class Easy LMS enables getting a singular view of every student for the teacher, content planning for the teacher, and comprehensive assessment over the year. You've also seen how children are fully engaged when they are playing video games. So Class Easy tries to build the same motivation towards academic achievement. It uses new content formats and gamifies the content for kids to participate and complete their learning assignments. It is integrated with Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and hence able to launch a virtual classroom in minutes to accelerate remote learning with ease. To the next slide, please. Now, imagine a child who last saw offline school in grade 1 and is now coming back after 2 years. She may not be ready to handle a grade 3 curriculum. Now, we need to assess the extent of learning loss that has happened for this child. So, the HP literacy tool is a powerful tool in the hands of the teachers to assess the reading and comprehension levels of their students and suggest strategies to mitigate the deficiencies. Once you know where your student stands, you can really help her bridge the gap. Now, this technology is also a real game changer when it comes to diagnosing problems like dyslexia, which usually takes months to uncover in any child. So, with this tool, it can be diagnosed in a matter of minutes and remedial measures can be put in place. So, those were the two specific tools under the RTCI framework. So, thanks everyone for your patient listening. Handing it back to Priyanka to take it further.
Thank you, Prashant. Thank you, Ketan. My apologies for the initial goof up that took place unintentionally. So we begin with the session on future learning models and the way forward. So we begin with Major Harsh Kumar's opinion on how he looks at the growth of digitization that happened in the past 2 years, and how do you think it has helped the Indian students to take advantage of digital learning models such as e-books, video lectures, MOOCs, etc.? Major Harsh Kumar? Meanwhile, Ketan, maybe you can answer the question as to what are the challenges that you faced when you were doing this survey, when you carried out this survey. What exactly did you find was benefit for students and what actually was challenging for the students?
I think the biggest thing, Priyanka, is that, of course, as I said, the survey results are showing benefits of online as well as some of the areas where there are concerns. But if I have to say, the single most challenge is in a vast country like us, where 300 million plus students, not necessarily every student got an opportunity to had continuing of learning because of technology not available because of various reasons. It could be affordability, it could be infrastructure availability of connectivity in various towns. So to us, one of the biggest gaps which we found in a large country like us, and this is a collective responsibility for all of us, that even if we go into the hybrid model, how are we going to take everybody together, right? Because eventually education is a right for all, and then we cannot benefit certain section of the society and leave the certain section. And how we are able to create various models which are effective across the sections of the society. To me, that is the biggest challenge we found even in the survey, because the survey respondents would be only people who have experienced online learning, which is still a very limited audience, right? While there is a large audience which is still not experienced, and they had a major interruption in their couple of years. So yeah, it's a massive challenge for a technology company like us as to how do we solve this, but it's a big opportunity also, right? As we see how we need to contribute at a broader level.
Thank you, Ketan. Ms. Thakur, would you like to add to it? I mean, since you are a principal and you've been interacting with students as well as the teachers, how do you look at the entire scenario? Was it beneficial? What was it actually just there for the sake of it? How do you analyze the entire situation?
Thank you. So, as Ketan was speaking, my thoughts were similar. So, when I look at technology, I basically I speak as an educator and I speak as a head of school. I look at the entire segment as four parts. There is us, who have the privilege of access and inclusivity in terms of connectivity and gadgets. Then there is a segment in the urban setting which might have gadgets but no connectivity. Then there is one last segment which does not have access to gadgets or connectivity. So while we talk about us, education and digital infrastructure and the digital boom has been fantastic. It's beneficial. Teachers were March 2020 to the situation of sink or swim. And I think they came out very well on the other side, having managed classes virtually, having transformed their content into a e-learning content and taken it ahead. But there is also that population which has had no access, which has had no learning. So for them to transform classes onto a WhatsApp model, to take it onto mobile handheld devices, as short as that. So the entire experience for the, I would say, completely for India has been very varied. But I would say for a lot of, we've been able to compensate a little bit of the potential learning loss that could have been to some extent. But in the end, I go with the 68% in your respondents. I would say students want to come back to school. So send them back to school. That's what I would say.
Thank you very much, Ms. Thakur. Welcome, Major Harsh Kumar. We were keen to hear your thoughts on how do you think that the situation helped the students to take advantage of e-books, video lectures, MOOCs, etc., which was otherwise not possible for Indian students?
Okay, see this, any invention, it happens because of the necessity. So this necessity has arisen because of the pandemic, that all of a sudden the use of gadgets and all has increased. And like Madam was saying correctly, that there is a clear-cut divide of have and have nots, or the schools have come up with this very well. I would appreciate, I will definitely, within 15 days classes had started running on computers, online classes and all. But at the same time, we have to think on that line that this entire technology is to empower us and not to overpower us. And in this having use of gadgets increasing immensely, the children have lost on the vocabulary, on the writing skill, on the speaking skill, on the understanding, because video is okay, online is very good. In some instances, like we are communicating sitting in our offices, we can communicate for, we can give half an hour for discussion, for a fruitful discussion. But at the same time, face to face learning has got no alternative. And now definitely the mode of education has changed. This thing has changed, and it has come to a merged kind of a learning. So that will continue, but we have to decide that how much technology we have to use. And children have definitely come to school. They have to, we also pray to God that we should come out of this pandemic situation. But then that use has to be very it is a very thin line difference. If you use it frantically, and you see what the disadvantage it is giving to the children. Now I will add one thing in this, that within 15 days of this pandemic started, NCERT had come up with the curriculum for the online teaching. Then for the teachers, the directions, you can say the SOPs. For the parents also, that has come up for the primary and for the secondary classes also. We have got so many videos run under PM E-Vidya program channel from class 1 to class 12. Channel is running on that 24 hours program on running on 12 different channels. Then videos are available on CIT for the teacher learning also, that how they have to cope up with the situation. So what I think, that there has to be directions, and we all have to follow the directions, because there is nothing which is compulsion for anybody to follow, for the schools to follow. Definitely, schools have to come up with their own lines because they are catering to a different group of students, different schools. But then this national education policy has come up with beautiful policies in that we in the starting, which I was telling, that we have to participate in this, and we have to handhold of those schools, of those groups which doesn't have this infrastructure available with them. So that will increase in the children the feeling of empathy. We don't want sympathy for the new India to build up. And definitely government is working very hard on this, to have all the children, to the last children, last village, this reach of online education, and that will reach. But definitely there is no magic wand on this, and it will take some time. And people, we have to and it cannot be possible only by the government. All the schools, it has to be a public private participation. The schools have to come up, the social responsibility has to be shown now. So I would request all the you sitting up, from Sri Ram school is doing very well, and you can support. HP obviously is HP India, so HP India has to support HP India. So, and like that, media also has to come up in a positive manner, that what government is doing and what we can do in that, we can participate in that.
Thank you very much, Major Harsh Kumar. I think that was quite insightful. My next question is for Ms. Kiran Mandral, since you are a mom blogger and you've been interacting with the mothers, the parents particularly. The last 2 years have been stressful for mothers particularly, because they were the ones who had to handle and make the children learn, understand the new format. How do you look at the entire situation? Do you think that it helped the students, it was painful for mothers, or do you think that we actually could develop a new method for the students? It's a new model for them.
Thank you so much for inviting me here. Pleasure to hear all our esteemed panelists. Priyanka, I think we were thrown off at the deep end when the pandemic started, all of us, from schools to educationists to policymakers. And we coped amazingly well. I think the ones who suffered the most probably were the moms with very young children who were also working, because at that point of time there was absolutely no house help, and small children were not going to be able to sit unsupervised. As Pooja ma'am would know, you require one person to be constantly in attendance with a young child. The concept of sitting still in one place and paying attention to a screen is not something that young children can do, and the entire personal one-on-one interaction with the teacher that the child gets in school, I think that was a very difficult phase for moms, especially with the older kids. Of course, they are computer savvy, they are digital natives, so they know how to log on to get into the classrooms, to do all the stuff. Whether they pay attention or not, that's another topic altogether that I leave for the educationists to figure out. But they know how to go about the thing. So it has been tough for the moms. It has been tough to manage work, to manage the child, to supervise the children. And what I really think the children have suffered the most are the entire cohort, the group of children who were getting into preschool, who were getting into early primary, the first couple of years of primary. That batch of children has not got the kind of basic grounding that they would have got in a regular classroom situation. So that is going to be difficult unless I'm sure the educationists have a plan in mind for when they return back to school.
Speaking of educationists, I think it is fair to ask Ms. Thakur, how do you look at, since you've worked in the field of inclusivity in schools, how do you think we can use this model to help the students who are spatially abled and those who are under-resourced? How do you think this model will help them in the coming time?
Yes, I think like Major Harsh Kumar was saying, he was saying that there needs to be a balance. So whilst I look at technology being very strong, very helpful for children with special needs, and it has augmented learning in many aspects. For children with autism, there are special apps. For children with learning disabilities, technology came up with immersive reader. It was really helpful. But the need, learning we have to understand is a social activity. Whether it's a need for speech, whether it's a need for occupational therapy, whether it's a need for behavior modeling, it needs to happen along with other children. So that is something that I feel children have really missed out on. Our special educators meet up with children individually, offer remedial classes, but the learning in a group, which is the basic premise of learning, be it for a child with special needs or be it for a child with any other needs, is same. Children have to come back and we have to use technology to complement our efforts rather than the other way around. Right now, technology is your main focus and that's how it's working. But I need it to be intelligent enough to help me help the children. We are, I would say, everybody in this field is doing their best. They are tapping out each and every available app, each and every available technology, be it a Zoom platform, be it a Kahoot game, be it any other app, whether it's Avaz or anything else. But they have suffered. I will not say that they've not suffered. Children have suffered. The things that you need, especially for making inclusion come true. When you also talk about the umbrella concept of inclusion, it is learning with all. When I speak to a child on a screen, I'm doing a one to one teaching. That's not really helping in inclusion. So it's not really helping in your academic curve that needs to go up, your behavioral curve that needs to go up, or the feeling of inclusion or the concept of inclusion. So hence, it's a very delicate balance that one needs to maintain going forward. It supported us very well, and we need to take it along. We cannot retrace our steps back, but we need to take it along to move ahead. And moving ahead means I'm a diehard educationist. I will say children need to come back to school, and I need to have technology under my arm to say, yeah, that's my sword, and that's what I'm going to use. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Thakur. I think that's a very interesting thing, and students definitely need to come back to schools. That's where they belong to. Ketan, what do you think? I mean, now that we have understood that there is this new model, there is this new way of learning, children can also take education if they are unable to go to schools for various reasons. Do you think the technology companies have a bigger ambition in front of them to create products, create gadgets which are more helpful for the students? Do you think that we have a bigger challenge now that we have explored this aspect of education?
Yeah, absolutely. As Ms. Thakur was talking about, right? Clearly, as tech companies and as we heard other panelists talk about, technology has to be an enabler and not something which really divides a society. That's a fundamental premise which companies like us will have to take a lead role on. And we have to really look at various personas in this, right? There are different stakeholders when you talk about technology intervention in the field of education, and we spoke about students, parents, educators, schools, government, etc. How we understand as tech companies individual needs by persona, and then take a very balanced approach in terms of our products and solutions what we provide, which should be suitable for every section of the society, which I said earlier. And more importantly, it's not for us about selling technology, but is our technology enablement helping to drive better outcomes, as Prashant was talking in the earlier part? Are we able to create better impact? What is the kind of quality of learning? Are we improving or are we really damaging? Right? That's a question we need to ask ourselves as tech companies. What level of skilling will be required? Because when we're talking about future of learning models, and if it is hybrid, for example, then are we really skilling our teachers and also to some extent parents and students to be ready of maneuvering across offline and online world? So I think the key word is about balancing everything. Overdoing anything is not going to really help. And as I said earlier, one of the biggest challenges is about how do we really bridge the digital divide in a large country like us. So uh, we as corporate industry also have a huge responsibility apart from selling solutions to the urban India. How are we really doing a CSR work in enabling education across the length and breadth of the country? Just to give you some examples and what we are trying to do, and we have a lot more work to do in this area, but we have now created mobile vans, which we call it as HP World on Wheels. So what we do is, if the school is not available there, we take school in the bus there, right? A 40-seater bus with a 25-seater lab inside, where a tutor is available, and we are covering almost 1,300 villages through this activity. And as I said, it's a very small activity given the size of India. We have so many villages, and you have so much work to do. In times of pandemic, for example, we created a van which was charging laptops overnight and handing over to underprivileged for a full day, a locked laptop with local content, with vernacular language, etc., and then take it back in the evening, give it to the other kid next day morning, and then rotating around. So I'm just giving a few examples, and there are so many work which is happening across various companies on this fact, but we will have to work on products across various section of the society, which is going to create right level of quality impact, as I said earlier, and then also work in the area of community service through great partnerships and making sure that it reaches the length and breadth of the country, to really make sure that nobody really feels this as a disadvantage to them, and it should really become an advantage rather than a disadvantage. And that's what we are very, very mindful of. As tech companies, sometimes we create that, and we don't want to be one who creates the same divide.
Wonderful. I think that's quite important and quite thoughtful of tech companies like HP. Moving on, Major Harsh Kumar, how do you see the situation where the biggest sufferers are the first generation learners, people in villages, people who do not have gadgets, who are under resourced, students who used to go to the school for midday meal and in turn used to get a lot of knowledge, information. They were the ones who were affected largely. So, how do you think the government will deal with this? How do you think we will be able to bridge that gap which has widened in the last 2 years?
See, the solution is already there. Actually, what happens in all the discussion and all, that we discuss about this problem, and we discuss it, that we have to find a solution and we will find a solution. Solution has been given by our esteemed panelists, that we have to participate. Though it is very good to know about what HP is doing, and I pray that all the companies do this thing, and let's not make it as an industry, because the vital fact that India, the Bharatvarsh, is going to be the youngest nation for another 30-35 years. The average age, the working age from 15 to 59, and the average age will be 29. This is a fact figure which I am giving you. And US and Japan, China, they are all coming on the older side. So we have got a lot of potential to do this, and this includes the entire population of our Bharatvarsh. It is not only in the towns, and so we have to see that that divide should not increase, and for that, participation of each of us is very important. Umbrella concept which is given in the national education policy speaks about that schools, universities, they should adopt the schools like that, the underprivileged school or the school which doesn't have this type of facility. And let me tell you, there's not been initiative taken by the small schools at very small places. I have come across, I have known them personally, that they have started classes through loudspeakers. If they don't have this facility, a big screen is displayed, and if Ketanji is telling, and if this type of initiative is taken by all the companies and this van is made available, definitely, like I said in my earlier statement also, it is not possible for the government to do it all alone. Government is doing it, but we have to participate in that. And our honorable Prime Minister says that sabki bhagidari. तो अगर हम सबकी भागीदारी नहीं होगी तो ये काम संभव नहीं है, लेकिन हम सब की भागीदारी से डेफिनेटली वी विल अचीव द थिंग व्हिच वी वांट. और अर्ली चाइल्डहुड केयर एंड एजुकेशन पे काफी ध्यान दिया जा रहा है फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल. और एक बात और भी अगर आप जानें कि दिस इज फॉर ऑल, पैंडेमिक हैज बीन फॉर ऑल. So more or less we are all on the same platform. 1920 का difference होगा, somewhere 1820 का, but we have to come up from this situation. The good thing is that the technology has to be adopted, because उस समय adopt करना पड़ा हमें. It was our compulsion, and now that compulsion has given training to our teachers also. And one very important aspect, which if you come to think of it, the importance of family has again come back, because the main aim of education is to become a good human being. You become whatever you become, but if you are not a good human being, you are nothing. You are not good for the society. So now the responsibility of, like Kiran madam was mentioning about the responsibility of mothers, it is not only the responsibility of mothers now, it is the responsibility of the family. As a father, I have also become more responsible. Let me tell you, I accept this, that I have to give time for my kids. And we have to stop them from using it. We have to check it. And for that, I think what NCERT is doing on this, like Pragyata guidelines has been issued. And it has been issued for the parents also, for the teachers also, that how much internet is to be used, how much screen time is to be given. So definitely, see, the mode of education has changed. The mode of evaluation will also be changed, but at the same time, this evaluation of only objective, this multiple choice question will kill the ability to think, to analyze what we are stressing on about critical thinking, and working in a group. This is that manubhava is the aim. So that aim can be achieved only if we can work together. And as a media, if Economic Education Times disperse this thing, that what initiative is being taken by NCERT, what Sri Ram School is doing, or what HP is doing, or what other companies like this are doing, I'm hearing it for the first time. Let me come on that fact that HP has taken this initiative, because I have not read in anywhere that this is being done. So this should be publicized so that other companies also come up. And then what are you talking that government is doing? Government is definitely this laying of lines, and the use of solar power for the continuous electric supply, or the internet facilities to be made available to the smaller places. That is being done, but obviously that will take time. But we have to come together, and all the schools have to take initiative on this. You can take participation of the nearby village schools near Delhi, and likewise in all our countrywide. So we have this is the only mool mantra, that we can come together and we can work and we can achieve. And let's not make it industry. Let it be education should be available for all. Unlike because it is going, what I'm seeing in this field, that so many people are coming for online training, for new modules which are coming, which is confusing the parents, the students also. So school is a must, because when they go there, they understand, the teachers will understand the students more, that what my children are understanding. So that is a must, and that blended mode will come, but we have to balance it. And it can be balanced. See, I will not talk just about we have to do this, we can balance it by calling children in a different groups, and that is what schools are doing, and that they will do, I am sure. And it has to be 6-day learning now, because Saturday you cannot leave a group of children coming, and they have to mix up, they have to understand there only, and participation to be done. Government is doing a lot on this. What initiatives we are taking, that also requires to be disseminated to all. Thank you. You are mute, madam. Ma'am, you are mute.
I'm so sorry about that. So thank you very much, Major Harsh Kumar. Ms. Thakur, how do you think the future is going to be now that we have understood this new model, and how the situation is going to be?
Like I said earlier, it's very difficult to retrace your steps once you've been on a forward journey. So the future will involve blended hybrid learning. There's nothing to take away from the fact that children have to come back to school. They have to see schools. I have 5-year olds, 6-year olds who have no concept of school. For them, their school is only a tablet or a laptop. So they have to come back. Socialization, listening to each other, the emotional, mental well being, for all of that, for school is necessary. Learning needs to happen in a school, so that will never go away. And I hope it never goes away, because the human element cannot move out of education. When somebody said here that, the education, the purpose of education is good individuals, good human beings. So hence that can never move out. But with this enabler along, we as educators need to be smart enough to understand when to use that enabler, for what to use that enabler. Ketan said in the starting that the country, extreme weather conditions, law and order situations, children who want to follow at the middle school, senior school, when they move on, want to follow alternate passions for sports. For all of them, technology can be used very well. We can supplement technology even to our underprivileged section there out there with technology and manipulatives and kits, so that both of them come together and none of them operate in isolation. Having gamified learning now, as children move around, a 3-year-old is so adept on a touch screen. Having gamified learning, it will add to education. It cannot replace education, it cannot replace that, but let's use it to add it. So hence I feel going forward, hybrid is the way. We must use it, and to let go of this learning, to let go of what the teacher community, the educators, the policymakers, everybody has moved ahead with it. To let go of it would be a serious loss to the country itself. It is like Major Harsh Kumar said, we're a young country. To have this learning as you're young and as you're moving ahead will only prove to the benefit of the country. But like I've been saying, a balance and as an enabler. So we must take it ahead.
Thank you, Pooja. That
Thank you.
was indeed informative. What do you think, Ketan? Do you think we will have some new models? We will enhance the technology, because you are from that background. Do you think the technology is going to sort of simplify itself to be more suitable for youngsters for learning? How do you assess this?
So
So the
actually, before Ketan answers that, I want to request Ketan, because we have young children who actually have no school. When you reimagine gadgets, when you reimagine technology, do it in a way that it's accessible across age groups. I feel I would love to call it an endemic, but it looks like the way of life going to be for some time. We will have to live with this. So when you look at that, I really sincerely request, look at my 3 to 6 year olds, because without my parents, those children have not been able to do anything. We've always said the parent, school, and the child are the three angles of this important triangle. But parents also need to go back to work, and it's just not working. Everybody is either a worker and an entrepreneur, everybody. So when you look at gadgets, look at my that age group of children from whom I can bring about learning in the most easiest of manner. Now
No,
you go
thank you
ahead.
for adding that. Thank you for adding
Thank
that,
you.
Ms. Thakur. I think very important call out. And I tell you, Priyanka and everyone, technology word by itself, is it has to disrupt. And the way technological advancement is happening in every area across the globe is amazing today. Like the kind of innovation which used to happen in 5 years time, just in last 1 year we have actually surpassed that across various industry groups. Like I'm from this industry, and I can say the kind of pace of innovation we need to now live with is very different. And the way education system has been challenged, all of us are also challenged to make sure that we speed up this entire innovation cycle. So yes, technology is clearly going to play a significant role in terms of how we will be really providing value in every use case. And in area of education, we have multiple roles to play. Of course, there are higher age group kids who understands technology know-how very well, and how can we really make sure that there are intelligent features which are now which are AI based, and we are able to put right level of customized intervention and personalized intervention, rather than saying, hey, this is my laptop and my content and my features applicable for all. In tomorrow's time, that's not going to work, because even with a certain age group, there are personalized needs of the individual, and how technology is adapting itself to those needs to get better productive outcomes. I think that's number one mission for us, to really develop the innovation which is going to be impactful for individual needs. The second thing, in a large country, and absolutely right, that this is a young country, and if we compromise on education system, it's going to really impact our economy. So we have collective responsibility to make sure that we don't make error here by selling wrong thing to our kids, because we have to make sure that we are socially responsible to this country, and whatever is the right model needs to be marketed irrespective of the technology what we are selling. So how then, like in a country like us, to give you an example, for us, for our business, the most of the buyers are who? Kids who are grade 8 onwards, for specifically for laptop kind of product categories. But now in the last 2 years, we have also realized, as Ms. Thakur was talking, that even a 5-year-old is now on a laptop or a tablet or a smartphone or whatever device they want to use. So now the challenge for us is, how do we make it adaptive to various age groups, to various sections of the society, as I said earlier, and within that age group, how do you personalize it for better outcomes? Because eventually we will be very happy as a tech company if, after using technology, the individual kid is actually adding to the learning outcomes for themselves, and that's what the key metric is all about, I think. And that is the continuous innovation we keep challenging ourselves. As I said, there are so many, and I don't want to sell HP portfolio here, so not calling out the features of my product, but we will keep innovating, looking at some of these insights, and then keep working on it. There is a long way to go, but the speed at which disruption is happening, we are really moving very fast. But we are very excited about the opportunity, given the large population of young country, and that also adds to the responsibility for a brand like us.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ketan. So we'll take a few questions from our audience, and there are some very interesting ones. This question is from Mandeep Sukhija, and she wants to know how NCERT is participating, and can NCERT suggest some models for conducting online assessment? Major Harsh Kumar, maybe you can take this question. NCERT needs to come up with some online assessment programs, because we can have disruption anytime again. Pandemic has not absolutely gone away from the virus is still there. So online assessment is something which is very important. And how do you think NCERT can suggest some models for it? Sir, you're on mute. Maybe you can unmute yourself.
I think she's talking about, maybe for the teachers, evaluation of teachers.
No,
And for
sir,
the
some
student-
test, yes, the assessment has
Yeah.
taken place in schools also in some cases. Proctored exams and stuff has started,
Yes,
I
that-
think.
See,
Right.
that is what, that very, very good question she has asked, and that is what it is required to be disseminated to all. That NCERT has come up with the guidelines in the first phase of pandemic only, that how online education should be done, and that has been done on the learning outcome document which was made by NCERT, and it is a reinvented document of learning parameters. It was developed on that, and it was issued in 2017-18. And this when the pandemic started, we had made guidelines on basis of that outcome only, that what should be taught and what should be the parameters on which a child should be checked on, evaluated. And similarly on that lines, if you go on our website, we have got a Central Institute of Educational and Technology, which has continuously developed videos on this, on the evaluation also, for the students as well as teachers, because the training of teacher has been taken as a very important aspect in this national education policy. And the inception of NCRT, and one of the major tasks of NCRT is in-service and pre-service teacher training. We have got our Regional Institute of Education at Ajmer, Bhubaneswar, Bhopal, Mysore, and Shillong. Along with that, we have got demonstrative multi-purpose schools also. That evaluation process is, continuous. It is being done by the assessment which is being done, and it is one of the biggest assessment of the world, you can say, which was done in 2017 also. And on the basis of that only, if you see our website, if you go on our website, you'll find many videos, many guidelines on that. And in fact, you can also register on that to judge your this thing also, what you are learning, and what that is available for teachers and for the students also. The aptitude test is also available, and that is all available online. The documents are all available online. For the teachers training, the biggest teacher training program, NISTA, the holistic training program with National Initiative on Holistic Training of Teachers and School Heads, that is also available online now. So many materials has been made by NCRT. A lot of work has been done in pandemic, and let me tell you, our faculties, they have not taken a break in this entire pandemic. We have been working regularly. So all those things are available. And as far as this evaluation and other things are concerned, NCRT is working with other our sister organizations like CBSC and all, and National Curriculum Framework work is going on that. So many more things, new things will come up in due course of time, because that is under progress. That meetings are going on. That will you'll come to know as and when it comes. Thank you.
Thank you very
So
much.
Priyanka, if I may come in, so I understand when you're saying about assessments, when you talk about assessments, I think the need of the hour right now, there are platforms that help you conduct assessments. There are platforms with which you can have proctored examinations. But I think the need for the country right now and for schools like us is to give us customizable modes. We don't need a standardized thing. Every state in the country is unique in its manner, by way of its characteristics. So if I have, for example, there is a platform for me to conduct examinations, but it comes along with 5 other requirements. If I do examination proctored platform, I know that when we hold exams, there's also children do, it's just not the way an examination would be held. So I need 2 more mirrors to ensure that it's a pure invigilation scenario that's going on. But I need something that I can customize to what I need to do rather than a standardized. So every feature that is developed, I think, because that's how technology would truly be an enabler for me. It does need to match up with my needs and my demands to say that, yes, okay, I need that. For example, if my child reads something, and like you said, the HP literacy coach, or there are other softwares. If my child is reading something, it does give me an assessment of how much where have been the errors, how much have been the omissions or submissions. Specifically, along with that, for every subject, as we are teaching, that's how when customized content comes into my hand, I can truly use it to gauge my students. Because like country like India, children are not on this similar level where I can say I saw a tracker going down with the ASER reports where what is the class 2 child and where is the class 5 child doing. So I need those customizations to be truly reach out to my children in this particular scenario. If you give me something standardized, it will not help. And to
I'll
training
just
of
add
teachers,
something what Madam is
yes,
saying. I'll just add
yes. And the
once you.
training of teachers needs to be to tell us how to translate our content into e-learning content rather than one I pick up content from the net. I don't want to do that. When our teachers have done Nishta courses, when they do that, the quiz that comes to them is customizable. It's not a standard quiz that goes to all the teachers. There are different questions which go out every time. So there are many people who are trying. I just think we need to augment efforts together. Yes, Major Kumar.
First of all, it is all guidelines, and the
Yes,
ASER report which you're talking about has been taken from a very small sample. So you cannot
yes.
put that sample to the entire vast country like us, and that is what NCRT does with the SCERTs all over the country. we trained master resource personnel, key resource personnel, and in turn they go and teach, they make their resource personals at their level, and adding the regional things in the regional language. So that is done in a very scientific manner. And national achievement survey, which is being done, is in the vast manner. So you cannot compare it with ASAP. Okay, with all due respect to whatever
No.
people are, it's all good, and it's nothing is standardized. It is obviously, you have to make your changes according to that. It is just standing operating procedure, that this is the line which goes. And obviously you can take a detour on that, whatever is the requirement of the
No, what
local.
I meant not the content. I meant that the apps and software should be customizable to my need.
Software,
Yes.
definitely, people
Yes.
like Ketanji and all are making it. And I, in fact, it was coming in my mind that I must ask, maybe it might not be app platform to ask, but something, if you can make that while the students are writing, that can be scanned and that can be sent. Because just making this MCQ is
Not
basically
very.
making them handicap. So there has to be, otherwise what they do, that they write even in the higher education, also in the universities, and also they are writing it and they are making a PDF and sending it, and it become cumbersome for parents. In fact, yesterday my kids teacher, I was the one who was standing in front of the camera and getting all that why this work has not been sent. It becomes, sometimes it becomes difficult, and you don't find that work, because everyday work is coming. So if that's something you can make, with a laptop or some connectivity which you can make it, that while you write you can make a PDF straight away and send it, something like that.
मेजर कुमार कई बार बोलते हैं ना, टेक्नोलॉजी इफ यू इंट्रोड्यूस बिफोर टाइम इट फेल्स. By the way, we had a product 5 years back. So we had a tablet on the right hand side and a book on the left hand side. Okay. And when
Okay.
you write something on the paper, it automatically comes into the digital form. And then that gets, the click of a button gets uploaded. That use case is so important in today's time. You understand? Now, 5 years back, when we probably bought this technology, it was not making sense for people that, okay, what I will use for. But we have the technology might and know-how. And as I was telling earlier, right, how do we now look at the needs of every persona and then use some of this technology available with us, which is already sitting in some of our R&D groups, and bring it to life for the real use cases. So absolutely, I take your point, and we'll work towards that.
I
Thank you.
think very soon we'll have another version of HP laptop or maybe a tablet. So another question that we have is from Lalita Sareen, and she wants to know as to how can we sustain the enthusiasm for learning during the pandemic, and how can we address the emotional needs and concerns of the students and the parents. So I think Kiran can answer that question. Kiran, if you can just give your opinion on this.
I speak purely as a parent. I'm not a trained counselor, or therapist, or educationist. But I think how do you address the concern of students? The fact is, students are isolated. The older students can work in groups and they can still sort of, get the sense of camaraderie in a classroom situation, because they do form their WhatsApp groups and they do work together on their projects and they do that kind of thing. For younger students, I think parents are banding together. They are having proper not play dates, maybe study dates, where they are getting them together off classroom time to work together online if, it's not COVID appropriate at the moment and they're doing that. There needs to be, I think, parents, since we have Mr. Harsh Kumar, Major Harsh Kumar here, I would like to request him from all parents to look at this entire concept of rote learning that we have. It's not related to this question, but this whole thing about you mug up a certain amount and you get your thing. That's what we've been going on for so long. The understanding is what our students are suffering from. So in your curriculum and in the way you, I know there is a lot of change that is coming on from the NCERT, but rewarding all kinds of intelligence, I think, is something that you should look at. Students who are feeling left behind because they're not able to get those kind of marks and not able to, score that much. And this entire regression that has happened in learning, that is what I worry about. This 2 years that has taken back so much of learning from the students. No amount of one-on-one classes, no amount of hand-holding is going to get them back to the same level that they were expected to be at this point. So these are challenges that parents are facing. Parents even sit, parents who are urban parents can sit or hire somebody for these for to help the children. What about the parents who can't do that? Parents who are, from a different strata of society, from the lower strata. The children have gone back 2 years. So for those children, I think if there is something that the NCRT is working towards, it would be really helpful. I've digressed a bit from the question, Priyanka, but this is a thing that I'm really worried about, and this is a thing that is very strong in my mind.
Okay, so we move on to the next question. It is from Kuna Pani Raju, and she is a mathematics teacher, and she's facing problems in teaching mathematic problems online, especially when it comes to teaching students about geometrical figures, explanations of how can we learn such as type of applications and tools to teach those who, I mean, this is not something which can be done online. Sometimes you want that to be drawn on the blackboard, or maybe practical explanation is needed. This is also relevant for those subjects where laboratory experiments are important. So how anyone can take this, maybe Pooja can take this, or Ketan can answer this. How do you think this can be addressed? How do you think we can address this particular problem that teachers are facing and the students are also facing?
Training
Yeah,
of teachers.
I agree. It's like learning to drive on a simulator and then taking out the car on the road to say, go ahead and drive. I completely agree. And subjects which need lab experiences, which need handling of manipulatives is very important. But I would still say that technology has helped us there. There are whiteboards available, there are tabs available on which you can show. There is content. Again, I need to customize that content. There is that available that does help to a large extent. It cannot replace, but it does help to a large extent of the transaction of such concepts. But yes, the ones that actually need, like for example, we need to match up when we talk about subjects like a chemistry practical, a physical practical. Now they are coming up with programs where they're coming out with VR or AI augmented lab models where you can simulate a large part of this learning. But definitely the feel that I have with handling a manipulator or apparatus in a lab, I will not get it on a visual screen for that matter. Yes, sure.
for for simple this thing, if I can request the madam who has asked the question, if she can view the videos which has been made by NCRT, and the classes are being run from class 1 to 12 on different channels. So all this geometrical concept and all is also like madam has said, that whiteboard and all is available and one can draw. So one can have a look on that and take guidelines from that. And obviously the other apps and all which are useful and which can be used by the the children, not by the teachers, but for the teachers, the simple this thing, without using much of apps and all, she can take guidelines from there, help from there.
Yeah, and from a technology intervention, I would say that while there are amazing amount of content already available even in 3D format for something like this, the world of metaverse is going to even advance this to a very different level, as virtual reality will become mainstream as the technology is getting advanced as we speak. It will get mature over the next few years, and that will make even things like this much more simpler than what they look today. So yes, as we always said, that the lab kind of thing, etc., you can't replace that, but there will be definite modules which will be available through technology advancement, especially VR related stuff is going to really make a lot of difference in this space. Today, we let our customers to virtually see the new building which they are probably going to go in without a building not even constructed today. You can have that feeling, right, of exactly knowing how this building is going to look like, or a new automobile which you are going to buy tomorrow, a customized one, how it is going to look and feel to your customized needs. That is a level of work which has gone into different field, and I'm sure we will be able to achieve some of these requirements even in this area too.
Right. We have a very valid and very mommy-like problem which I think each one of us is facing. Suchitra Manikandan is saying that she supports online schooling unless my child has a gadget that has no access to YouTube, Facebook, and other social media platforms. So a device dedicated only for learning will be helpful. You should have Met or Gmeet or Zoom or any other app for school, like from where the school can address the student, but the student should not have access to Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. I think this is a problem which is faced by parents all over the world. So I think anyone can take as a parent or maybe
Connect with HP. I can only answer that. We have all the products which are locked on content. We fully understand this pain because this is one of the biggest challenge, by the way, and it's a very important question which parents have of what kind of content and what kind of screen time has been spent. Because at times in today's world, every time when you go and knock the door of a kid and says, "I'm busy doing work on my screen," and sometimes somebody is doing social media, right? So how we are intelligently able to give reports back to to parents about what kind of content has been browsed or looked at, as well as features available on our products where you are able to only look at a specific content which is probably education related or some other apps which a parent wants to enable, and everything else can get locked. This is an absolute need, and we have already enabled features like this into our products, and we fully understand this is one of the biggest pain point. The other thing which I always keep hearing from parents is a lot of parents are also uncomfortable giving kids tablets or laptops, and they want large screens so that whenever they probably go through the house, they can actually see what is getting watched by the kids. And that's why a lot of parents are also moving to all-in-one PCs over a tablet or a smartphone, or at times even a laptop. So yes, all these things are known, and we are really very mindful of that and working towards. Already there are solutions and improving further on it.
You have to do cost cutting also on those things,
Always, Major Kumar, as I said earlier, we have to take care of every section of the society, and we have products from 20,000 rupees to 200 to 2 lakh rupees kind of laptops, and it can be affordable for every single thing. But we completely understand, and I think it's a very important point again you are bringing. It's not about just the affordability; it's also about business model where people can actually buy in installments. Not even 20,000 in a country like us can be probably costly at times. So how we are creating new business model where one can actually buy product at 1,000 rupees a month or 2,000 rupees a month kind of a thing. And also for some kids who are not able to afford 20,000, we do life cycle refresh of our products. So some customers who are okay to return their laptop after 4 years, we clean it up, refurbish it, and get it ready for kids then who are ready to buy product at 10,000-11,000 rupees, right? So completely mindful of this fact and making sure that we are advancing this further.
Only HP is doing, or other companies?
There are a lot of industry players who are doing, of course, and in a large country like us, only one company doing is not going to help. And I'm sure there are a lot of companies who are on this business model.
May I just
So Priyanka,
interrupt?
if I may, sorry, Kiran, go ahead.
Go
Please
ahead.
go ahead.
No, just as a mommy, I just wanted to come in. You can have all the products in the world, but the kids are very smart. They will find
Yes.
a way to get around and get to their social media. So what we need to teach them is control over themselves, to be parents who are not constantly on social media ourselves, to tell them that this is, explain to them. Kids are very smart. And social media is so
Technology can
tempting.
be
but-
used in that you can prohibit the use of social media in the product only. Ebenisho, it can be done in the.
If I may come in, I'm going to speak as an educationist, and I'm going to say rather than curb, I agree with self-regulation. Because if you take away something from a child, you're just going to pique the interest of the child. So when we were not in the pandemic, we used to have a month long of cyber safety drives and we were taught. But now it's all the more a need to be a consistent feature in your ICT curriculum. That, okay, if there is a content, how do I go about smartly managing that content? When do I need to access it? What do I need to access it? There are many controls and apps which can tell a parent that, okay, I can deploy 10 things on my laptop to tell my child whether the child cannot access that or what all has he accessed. But the education of the child from the start to say, okay, what is it? What is the appropriate digital behavior that you need to display. There are times when teachers are taking classes and the children have shut that window or onto another window watching something else, or they're on a social media handle of their own. So that's what, unless the change doesn't happen from within, and our effort has, it's incumbent in fact upon us to try and do this again and again in a consistent manner, and there is no way that we will fail. I'm not saying we'll achieve 100% compliance, but definitely there is a change that we need to cause within the children, rather than say, if you do this, this will happen, I'll come to know. It has to be collaborative with the child. Your child is as much a partner in this whole process, and just not a customer just taking on instructions in today's world, in fact. Thank you.
We have a lot of questions coming for Major Harsh Kumar. Major, you are very popular. I know everybody wants to know more and more about what the government is doing. So Dr. Anupama Srivastav has to say, we are on online mode, including this hybrid classes for a very long time. Now students and parents both are exhausted, and we wish that physical mode is implemented. And why is the government not doing something? Why should school not start, although other areas are open for physical interaction? So why close the school? I think government is taking action. So Major Harsh Kumar, instead of that, I don't know what to say, but there are some more questions if you want to answer this.
Definitely, first of all, it is not the role of NCERT to open the school and all, because
I think they are asking,
but then from the government side, you see that schools are opening up, and it is the responsibility of the state as such. In Delhi government is deciding that whether they have to open the school or not, seeing the pandemic situation. And I think today only I saw the news that pandemic is this virus is going down, the cases are coming down. So government may order at their own this thing. UP government is taking some other steps, and other states, Kerala, the cases are increasing. So it is totally on the local government to see on that, and they are doing it. And I just pray to God, and I know also that this is going to end, because whatever comes, it comes to an end also. Whatever started comes to an end also. And we must pray to God that our children should go back to school. I'm a parent also. So government is also doing it, and schools are also doing it. And as a parent, it like I said in the initial thing, that the responsibility of parents have increased many folds. Like in a triangle of a parent, teacher, and school, that responsibility of parents have increased, and we have to take that responsibility of making a child something fruitful for the society, for a good human being. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Deepa Kalia has to say, education should be beyond boundaries as per the abilities of children. Building blocks are supposed to be sort of engaged right in the beginning. How can we have some fixed parameters? Maybe Pooja can take that, or Kiran can take that. We can have short answers.
Sure. Definitely, education has to be beyond boundaries, and that's the only way that we can take the entirety of India together. I completely agree with you. So, but whenever we talk about this, we talk about this on a strong foundation of certain to-dos, the 3 R's that come in. If you talk about education, the 3 R's, those are very important. So hence, I again reiterate my point to say that, yes, I need to deliver it, but I need to customize it. I need to look at individualization of education to each child. I need to look at customization of content for children. If I can deliver that, I will be able to take it anytime, anywhere, flexible learning. I will be able to take it to each child, and I will be able to achieve. And I am very optimistic by nature. I will be able to take it to all corners of my student population. And believe it, even if it's a Sri Ram school, the needs of children are very dynamic, which I can speak for every school in the country. So hence, I completely agree with the lady who's asked the question.
Okay. Anuradha Dhote has a very relevant question. In exam timing, while we ask students to write the exams in classroom, but in online exams, most students are sending PDF files where students are copying from books and they're getting marks. And do you think technology can address this? You think in the coming time we can have a control over this, that student can give exams from anywhere, anytime? Proctoring, of course, has come up in a big way, but cheating is still a very prevalent problem. Anyone, Ketan can take this, or anyone can take this question.
As I said earlier, I think there are certain things on physical classroom which can't be substituted, and this is one of that, right? Definitely. But then, as you know, there are higher order examinations which are done online where you can't you can't have chance to cheat. So there are, of course, solutions which are available. We all expect that schools also open. We also want that to happen, and we don't probably need to create modules for at least grade 1 to grade 12 to have examination from home. But with a hybrid learning study which we did, we also have started realizing that we have to at least make sure that we are ready as a tech company to provide solutions when situation like this come. Today it is pandemic, tomorrow it can be something else, and hence, yes, definitely we'll be able to solve it. But as of now, if you ask me, there is no ready solution which I can tell that, oh, I have a solution which I can present today. But definitely a lot more work to do in this area.
So we also have Poonam Anand, who wants to know how is NCERT popularizing the alternative academic calendar, and what is the future of this calendar? Major Harsh Kumar, if you can answer this.
It is to follow that calendar by the schools and the educational institutes to disseminate it, that alternative school calendar which has been developed by NCERT during the pandemic. This is just when you use it, you'll come to know, and that is how you popularize it. And with the changing times, it is obviously the things are changing, and every day we don't have this situation. And like this cheating and all thing is concerned, see, the basic thing is that moral values and ethics which has to be taught to the child, and it starts from the family, and it starts from the home, and it is the responsibility of basically the parents. And the guidelines have been made by NCERT for the parents also, that what is to be done. And like I said earlier, this pandemic has brought the family closer. And now we can not only blame the teacher has not done, and the child what he has learned in the classroom, we cannot now blame. You can see online, it is, people have taken it things for this, stretching it too much. I think, you have to participate in this. Everybody wants to get away from his responsibility. You have to be responsible on this. Now the parents want, I am a parent also, and let me tell you, you want to get away from your responsibility. Technology is there, it is there to help you, and you have to take help of that technology. But ultimately we are all human beings, so we have to understand all the other aspects also. We are going too much on this. It is for all. Pandemic is for all. It is not for one. It is for the entire world. It is for the entire country. We are the privileged lot. Those who are asking question, those who are participating it, those who are seeing it. Just imagine about those who have got no participation. क्योंकि हमने सारी बातचीत अंग्रेजी में करी है. अब अंग्रेजी में आपके पूरे भारतवर्ष में कितने लोग इसको समझ पाएंगे जो हम लोगों ने बात करी है? तो वही पेरेंट समझ पा रहे हैं जो उसको समझ रहे हैं. लेकिन हम लोगों ने इसको, अगर मैं ऐसा बोलूं कि एक बहुत बड़ा हवा बना लिया अपने दिमाग में, तो ये बिल्कुल गलत है. सब लोग इस बात को समझ सकते हैं, और टेक्नोलॉजी का यूज पहले से हो रहा था. आप अगर राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति में देखें तो टेक्नोलॉजी के बारे में हम पहले से बात कर रहे थे. हमारे देश में पहले से डिजिटलाइजेशन वर्तमान सरकार के नेतृत्व में पहले से शुरू हो चुका था. आपकी डिजिटल पेमेंट जो अभी भारतवर्ष नंबर 1 है पूरे विश्व में, अगर इस बात को आप सब लोग जानते हो, तो आप ये सोचिए कि पहले से ये हो रखा था. अब पेरेंट्स क्या है कि अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी से भागना चाहते हैं कि बच्चे को स्कूल भेज दें और हमारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी खत्म हो जाए. लेकिन नहीं, अब आप सामने देख रहे हैं कि टीचर पढ़ा रहा है, अगर मेरे बच्चे का होमवर्क नहीं गया तो मैं भी रिस्पॉन्सिबल हूं और मैं भी टीचर से डांट खाने के लिए उतना ही बैठता हूं सामने जितना बच्चा बैठता है कि इसका काम क्यों नहीं गया। लेकिन ये स्थिति हमेशा नहीं रहेगी, हम इससे अलग हटके सोचें। लेकिन हाँ, टेक्नोलॉजी का यूज कितना करना है, कैसे करना है और क्या क्या हमारे पास अवेलेबल है। अब गैजेट्स हमारे लिए जरूरी हो गए हैं, नो डाउट। आगे आने वाले समय में जॉब डिजाइन्स, जॉब प्रोफाइल्स भी बदलेंगी, लेकिन जो बेसिक्स है वो नहीं बदलने वाला। आपको क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग करनी पड़ेगी। बीइंग अ फौजी, लेट मी गिव यू वन एग्जांपल कि अगर मैं लड़ाई के मैदान में हूं तो कौन सी टेक्नोलॉजी मेरे को बताएगी कि मेरे को गोली चलाना है कि नहीं चलाना है। दैट आई हैव टू डिसाइड ऑन ग्राउंड। और आपको एक बात और बताऊं, जीपीएस जब हम लोग पहले जाते थे वहां पे करते थे मैप रीडिंग, तब भी हमारा बेसिक था, आज भी हमारा बेसिक्स है। क्योंकि अगर आप जीपीएस में और या फोन ऑन करके अपनी सिचुएशन दिखाते हैं तो आपकी सिचुएशन पूरी दुनिया जानती है सैटेलाइट के माध्यम से कि आप कहाँ पे हैं या आप कहाँ करने वाले हैं। आप याद करिए, जब हमारे यहाँ परमाणु टेस्ट किया गया था उस समय टेक्नोलॉजी को बिल्कुल यूज नहीं किया गया था, उसी टेक्नोलॉजी को यूज किया गया था जिसकी जरूरत है। तो हम शायद इस मानसिकता से बाहर निकले कि हाँ, ये परेशानियां थी, लेकिन इस परेशानियों से हम बाहर निकल के आ रहे हैं और यह महामारी हमेशा नहीं रहने वाली, ये धीरे धीरे जा रही है। और जैसा कि स्कूल्स अपना इनिशिएटिव्स ले रहे हैं और टेक्नोलॉजी अपने नए नए टेक्नोलॉजी लाती जा रही है और ये अब सर्व सुलभ हो गया है। पहले एक लैपटॉप 1 लाख रुपए का, 1.5 लाख रुपए का आता था। अब जैसे केतन जी ने बताया कि आप 20,000 का भी, 25,000 का भी ले सकते हैं, आप उसमें भी ले सकते हैं। गवर्नमेंट भी इसको डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर रही है। तो धीरे धीरे ये चेंजेस आएगा और एक पॉजिटिव माइंडसेट के साथ हम सब लोगों को आगे बढ़ना चाहिए और इस डिस्कशन को एक अच्छे परिणाम पे आप ये पहुंचाइए कि जो जो इनिशिएटिव हर एक स्कूल ले रहा है, उस स्कूल के इनिशिएटिव वो पेरेंट्स तक पहुंचे, वो देश में आपके माध्यम से, आपकी मीडिया के माध्यम से दूर तक जाए कि सरकार इसमें क्या क्या इनिशिएटिव ले रही है। एनसीईआरटी जो इतना काम करती है, मेरे ख्याल से वो पूरे देश के पहुंच नहीं पाता हर जगह तक। हम कम्युनिटी रेडियो का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, जैसे मैंने बताया क्लास 1 से क्लास 12 तक का अलग अलग ये पीएमई विद्या के इनिशिएटिव में अलग अलग चैनल्स चल रहे हैं जिसमें सारी प्रायोगिक कक्षाएं भी उसमें दिखाई जा रही हैं। अब ये केमिकल क्लोरीन है और ये केमिकल ये है, इसको मिलाने से क्या होगा, सामने तो दिखाया जा सकता है। ये जरूर है कि जब तक बच्चा उसको खुद नहीं करेगा, सीखेगा नहीं, लेकिन स्कूल्स तो खुलेंगे ही खुलेंगे। फेस टू फेस रीडिंग का कोई ऑल्टरनेटिव ना था, ना है, ना आगे कभी होगा। एक रूम से आप क्लास या यूनिवर्सिटी नहीं खोल सकते। इसमें जैसा मैंने आपको बताया कि हमारे देश में इस समय सबसे यंग नेशन है और आगे आने वाले समय में बहुत सी यूनिवर्सिटीज आएंगी, बहुत से स्कूल्स आने के खुलने की कोशिश करेंगे, जो कि एक कमरे में चाहेंगे कि ऑनलाइन पे हम आपको सारी शिक्षा दे दें। लेकिन ये आप अपने पर लेके देखिए, हम पर लेकर के देखिए, या हमारे बच्चों के ऊपर लेकर देखिए, क्योंकि बच्चों की भी मानसिकता अब चेंज होती जा रही है। वो ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन ही करना चाह रहे हैं, वो ऑफलाइन नहीं जाना चाह रहे हैं। अगर आप उनको बोलिए कि ऑफलाइन टेस्ट देना, नहीं नहीं, ये तो ऑनलाइन होगा, एमसीक्यू होगा। क्यों एमसीक्यू होगा? वो तुरंत अपना टिक लगाएंगे, कैमरा भी ऑफ कर देते हैं। टीचर्स वहां कमेंट्स आता रहता है, पुट योर कैमराज ऑन, पुट योर कैमराज ऑन। बच्चे अपना कैमरा ऑफ कर देते हैं 2 मिनट के लिए, उसमें नकल कर लिया उन्होंने। इसके लिए पेरेंट्स को थोड़ा सख्त होना पड़ेगा। I tell my example, I told my daughter कि every time she used to tell कि नहीं मेरे को 19 मिला है, 20 out of 20, I said no, this is not your marks. एक दिन मैंने सब कुछ बंद कर दिया, खड़ा रहा कि so that she cannot look at तुरंत स्क्रीन क्लोज करके गूगल खोल करके सॉल्यूशन उसमें से निकाल करके डाल देना। तो उसका जब मार्क्स 12 नंबर आए तो मेरे तो कम नंबर आए, तुम्हारी वजह से आए। मैं कहा भाई, दिस इज योर मार्क्स, ओरिजिनल मार्क्स। This is what you need to learn the concept and all, and teachers are working very hard. Let me tell you, my hats off for the teachers, for the the management. They are working very hard right from the very first day. They are trying to make the kids understand. Now the parents have to become responsible right now, and when they go to school, obviously then it is again teachers and they are going to manage it. But then we should not make what I think in so many discussions and all, we make it a issue कि ये बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो रही है। ऐसा कुछ नहीं, सबके लिए बराबर है ये। ये महामारी सबके लिए थी, ये परेशानी सबके लिए थी। आपके पास तो लैपटॉप है, आपके पास फैसिलिटी है, इंटरनेट है, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी है। थिंक अबाउट दैट विलेज लैड हु इज सिटिंग इन अ स्कूल। और मैं बताऊं, मैं खुद गया था एक ऐसे स्कूल में इस दौरान, जहां पे उन्होंने लाउड स्पीकर लगा करके बच्चों को दूर दूर बिठा करके, और उनके हाथ में वहां से फोटो स्टेट की भी सुविधा नहीं थी, वो भी इनको किसी ने दी थी ला करके मशीन, वो बैटरी से चलता था, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी नहीं आती थी, आपके इंटरनेट की फैसिलिटी आप छोड़ दीजिए, वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करके बच्चों को पढ़ा रहे हैं वहां पे। तो हिंदुस्तान में, भारतवर्ष में हमारे अंदर वो कैपेबिलिटी है जो हम ये कर सकें, और ये सब हमारे सम्मिलित प्रयास से ही होगा। और निश्चित रूप से कॉर्पोरेट की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी केतन जी पूरी करेंगे। श्री राम स्कूल की मैडम से, पूजा मैम से मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि आप अम्ब्रेला कॉन्सेप्ट को फॉलो करवाएं। किरण मैम से मैं करूंगा कि आप इसको डिसिमिनेट करें पेरेंट्स के बीच में और मदर्स के बीच में, कि आपका पार्टिसिपेशन होना चाहिए। प्रियंका मैम से मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि इसको पूरा जितना ज्यादा से ज्यादा वाइडली स्प्रेड हो सके वो स्प्रेड कराएं। तो मैं समझता हूं कि हम लोग एक जो राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति है, और सबसे पहले तो मैं ये रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि टीचर्स को राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति का अध्ययन करना चाहिए कि क्या क्या उसमें दिया हुआ है। ये सारी चीजें, ऐसा नहीं था कि ये महामारी शुरू होने के बाद हुई। आप इस राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति में आप समझे कि इतने सारे सुझाव लिए गए थे सारे देश भर से, सारे स्टेक होल्डर से, कि अपने आप में एक ऐसा संपूर्ण डॉक्यूमेंट बना है जो कि मैं समझता हूं कि आजादी के बाद पहली बार स्कूली शिक्षा पे इतना ध्यान दिया गया है, और हर एक एस्पेक्ट पर, और स्पेशली अर्ली चाइल्डहुड केयर एंड एजुकेशन पे, जिसके लिए कि कोई एक डेफिनेट लाइन नहीं था। हर एक गली मोहल्लों में एक एक स्कूल खुले हुए थे और वो अपने हिसाब से सिखाते थे, और ये एक गाइडलाइंस है, और उसके हिसाब से लोकल चेंजेस कैन ऑल्सो ऑलवेज बी डन। और मातृभाषा पे इतना ध्यान दिया जा रहा है। केवल हमें एक अंग्रेजी सीखना बहुत जरूरी है, या कोई भी दूसरी भाषा हम सीख सकते हैं। आपको जान के आश्चर्य होगा कि ऑस्ट्रेलिया में, अमेरिका में संस्कृत में एडमिशन लेने वालों की संख्या बढ़ती जा रही है, और हमारे यहाँ वो संख्या घटती जा रही है, जबकि सबसे साइंटिफिक लैंग्वेज है संस्कृत। अगर हम संस्कृत बोलना सीखते हैं तो हमारा प्रोनाउंसिएशन ऑटोमेटिकली अच्छा हो जाता है। लेकिन थोड़ा सा इस बात को भी अगर आप प्राथमिकता दें तो मैं समझता हूँ कि पूरे भारतवर्ष के लिए बहुत अच्छा रहेगा। और तब हम शायद, क्योंकि हर एक व्यक्ति अपने आप में वो खुद भी सीखता है, फिर उसके बाद अपने बच्चों को भी सिखाता है, तो वो इस पूरे रास्ते से गुजरता है। हमारा काम ये है कि जो काम हो रहा है उस चीज को हम आप तक वो पहुंचा सके। और आप जो अपने स्कूल में, मैं आपको एक स्कूल का एग्जांपल देता हूं बस शॉर्ट में। एक स्कूल है तलवाड़ा पंजाब में, जहां पे टीचर्स एग्जामिनेशन नहीं लेते, बच्चे खुद एग्जाम देते हैं, और जो सीनियर बच्चे होते हैं वो आकर के, और कोई नकल नहीं होती वहां पे। तो इतना जो स्ट्रॉन्ग मॉरल वैल्यूज और इथिक्स जो सिखाया जाएगा जब बच्चों को, जो हमारी इंडियन नॉलेज सिस्टम है, जो हमारा इंडियन वैल्यू और इथिक्स का सिस्टम है, अगर मैं समझता हूँ उसको सिखाया जाए बच्चों को कि भाई सबसे बड़ा तुम्हारा एम लाइफ का ये है कि यू हैव टू बिकम अ गुड ह्यूमन बीइंग। इफ यू बिकम अ गुड ह्यूमन बीइंग, दैट इज ऑल, वट एवर यू बिकम। तो सारे जितने भी इस संसार में जितने भी जॉब हैं सबको इंपॉर्टेंस दी जाए। टीचर्स के लिए ये एनसीईआरटी का जो गठन हुआ था, ये टीचर्स ट्रेनिंग के लिए हुआ था on the lines of IITs and IIMs. NCERT was constituted way back in 1961, these regional institute of education. But you see where we are lying now. और बीएड की एक जो है दुकान खुल गई थी 2-2 साल का, लेकिन अगेन राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति के तहत अब बीएड का करिकुलम कोर्स 4 साल का, जो कि एनसीईआरटी में ऑलरेडी पढ़ाया जा रहा है, वो शुरू किया जा रहा है। टीचर ट्रेनिंग पे बहुत ध्यान दिया जा रहा है, तो जिसपे हम इस चीज को डिसमिनेट कर रहे हैं। सॉरी, आई टुक सम टाइम।
Thank you very much.
I thought it is very important.
Yes, that was very positive. We are coming towards the end of the session. I will take this last question. It's not really a question. It's more about how Shweta Upadhyay is saying that Savita Maths Formula is making apps, and we expect HP to introduce more apps. I think her point is that she wants more apps to be included in the gadgets and the laptops that we have. So, Ketan, maybe you can address this, and you can also have a closing remark. We are coming towards the fag end of the session.
Yeah, of course, we will, as I said earlier, we'll keep adding what actually makes sense, right? Because we just don't want to add things for the sake of it. And definitely, if there is a need for a specific user base, specific age group, a specific class group, absolutely, yes, take your feedback and we will definitely look into this suggestion. But I'm very happy with a great conversation with esteemed panelists. I think there is a lot of learning which I had as tech company, because we keep talking to a lot of customers and schools and parents and get a lot of insights about what we need to do. But the kind of dialogue which we had today has been great. But one thing is very clear, right, for all of us, is that education for all, and how we make sure that that remains our number one priority, to make sure that it is an inclusive thought and all of us have a collective role to play, and we'll make sure that all sections of the society are taken together, and that's a prime responsibility for all of us. And as a tech leader who has been working in India for more than 30 years, being leaders in areas of compute and printing, we feel that it's also our prime responsibility to lead, and we will be partnering with all of you to make it better every day.
Thank you very much, Ketan Patel, for this session and your insight on various aspects of technology and learning, your enthusiasm towards learning. Major Harsh Kumar, thank you very much for taking out time, and you were very interested and you're quite involved with the work that the government is doing, very patiently answering other questions. Thank you, Ms. Pooja Thakur. You took out your time. This is like a most stressful time for the teachers. I know teachers are actually bearing the brunt, and they're the ones who are taking this forward. It has been very tough for the teachers, I know particularly. And thank you very much for taking out time. Thank you, Kiran Mandral. You were wonderful. Your thoughts were quite interesting. With this, we come to an end. Thank you very much. Take care and bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.